And family, welcome to the show. It is Michelle Bryant here at WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. You're listening to Say Something Real. And real talk, this year is rolling on out of here. I don't know if you have begun to think about New Year's resolutions. You know, I'm losing weight, I'm saving more money, I'm buying a house. But it's time to commit some stuff to paper so we can go and figure out what's happening in 2025, but also an opportunity to take a look back at 2024 to see if I did the things I said I was going to, if I came close, if I got to put those on the list again. So we'll have some of those conversations over the next couple of days. But let me first of all say good morning to the bros in the studio. What up, Debo? How you doing this morning? What's all of that? Jesus Christ. It just can't never be easy.
Will I be sure?
You ain't got the right ring for that player. You got them little basic rings on today.
But no, I've been sick all weekend actually, but feeling better today.
Really?
I'm gonna grab a mask so I don't contaminate y'all.
You know what? I can hear it.
Yeah, but glad to be in the land of the living, man. They've been wearing me out over the weekend, but I'm good.
Yeah, you sound like you got a little congested going on.
A little twang.
A little something. Stay over there. Hey, Carvey. How you doing this morning?
I am doing fine. I'm feeling great.
And your weekend?
It was great.
It was great?
Yeah.
All right. Looks like you had to think about it for a minute, but I'm going to say okay. Good morning, Shelby. What's happening, sis? I see you. Oh, man. Alice died.
Who?
Linda Lavin. Remember the sitcom Alice?
Yeah. The waitress?
Yeah.
Jimmy died.
Who was Jimmy?
Jimmy Carter.
Well, I'm going to get to President Carter. I mean, no, we can't just say Jimmy died. You can't. That's a level.
What his name?
That's a level of disrespect that I just would not tolerate.
Jimmy.
You can't just,
Peanut Farm.
I can say Alice died. I can't say Jimmy died. You can't. You hear me? I'm like, who is Jimmy?
What damn Jimmy you talking about?
Negroes just don't have no respect whatsoever. Just out of order all the time. We do not refer to that president. No, it's
no, he was a good president.
It was some you can just, just say, hey, George
Donald.
Donald died. I didn't even call him Donald. That
Orange man. Yeah.
The Kamala Harris.
I apologize. Because he did so much great humanitarian and all the above. I apologize. Yeah, for that. That was a level of disrespect.
Jimmy died. Like, if you lost your mind. And so, yes, I will get to the fact that we have lost another president. And I will just say, and then there were 4. So we'll talk about that. But let me also mention that today is the 5th day of Kwanzaa.
You're a little dusty.
You put your stuff, like I don't dry this shirt in the dryer.
Right.
And so
it looked like a evangelist top. You got on your evangelist.
What is a Nike shirt? Don't come for me. Never.
No, like you be having the coldest Nike gear.
Sermon.
Dude, where my logo?
Zoom in on that. That looked like you could bring the word in that.
No.
Oh, there it is. You see the swoosh.
I see the logo. I see it.
You definitely be having the coldest Nike gear. It hit different.
Thank you very much, Carl.
Because that coat you had on the other day when we was all wearing black, that was fire too. I would have never guessed that was Nike.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I take pride in finding unique Nike pieces.
This dude right here.
Dude, why? Because he said something nice.
Geez. No, it's no problem.
And he actually said something true. Because I work hard to find unique
Michelle,
Nike pieces.
On what he said, you know what I would have to say?
What?
I concur.
Well, then why you have to say this dude right
just
here?
Because it's just, the way you do it.
Because what you say, he wasn't going to say it first.
No, he don't never get me to say it first. But I will concur.
That's why he's sick, Raggedy Joe. He ain't giving out no compliments.
Michelle,
not no real
fire. You ain't never heard me say nothing like that.
Because, wait, and we've never said it to you.
And that's probably why you don't get it. I know I'll be having on some fire outfits.
When have you had on?
You always think my tags ain't right. I don't even
you
feed
had
into
that. A fire. I mean, we ain't even gotta make it Nike, bro.
The brown outfit.
What fire outfit have you had on?
The brown one. He just told you.
What brown one? Where was I?
Brown, and the tags is right.
What he wore at Kia funeral?
He had the
no.
What you
brown Nike outfit?
No, not that suit.
Oh, okay. What brown Nike outfit?
Michelle, if you haven't seen it, it's not my fault.
It was nice though.
Is it fire, Kari?
Yeah, it was fire.
No, I ain't seen that. I must have been out. That must have been on
He did have a good
Saturday
weekend.
Or Sunday.
He gave me a compliment. He
It must have been on
it was not on a Saturday.
It's on a blues show day. Because, yeah, who said I wear fire pieces?
Well, let me ask you then. How was your weekend?
It was busy. I got a lot done because, I'm trying to start the new year with stuff organized and in order. So from the simplest things like organizing the cabinets, because we got multiple people that come in the house, that help do stuff. So pots and pans is everywhere. And, I'm like, she can't find nothing. Keisha ain't gonna put that back to save her life. So I'm just like, you can't find nothing. So I organized the kitchen cabinets, found all of the Tupperware pieces that don't have tops.
Ain't that the damnedest thing?
Yeah.
You find the bowl, but where's the damn top?
So I wanted to go into the new year with some structure, some organization. I started purging my closet, stuff I don't need, and I'm giving away some really nice pieces because I'm like, this time next year I will be fitting that. So I'm giving that away now.
That's hopeful thinking.
No.
What do you call that? Ambition?
No, it's called motivation because I'm gonna have to go buy clothes. Oh. As long as you leave them in the closet, you got fallbacks.
Right.
I ain't gonna have no fallbacks.
Okay.
So
get some of them nice fits I got.
Yeah.
Give out. Take them to the Goody Wheel.
The won't he do it store.
That part.
When you go there, find a cold piece of Goodwill and be like, but you know what? But I'm being janky. Like, it's a bunch of the places I don't get my clothes to no more. Like if I can find a women's shelter, I'll take them there, or I will, try to find, family members or friends, because I'm just sorry. I'm like going through a Goodwill protest because I don't understand what's happening, and I probably should call somebody from Goodwill before I complete my protest. But the quality of stuff in the Goodwills in the city is garbage. Mm-hmm. You got to go, and I listen to my people, my Black folks all the time talking about they got to travel to Germantown, Menominee Falls, all these different places, and that's where they talk about finding quality, stuff from Goodwill.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
While you're on that, is it possible that the donations are taken in at those locations, and that's the kind of stuff that they're receiving?
I mean, so I thought about that, but I remember at one time, furniture used to come in, and I don't know if they just moved away from furniture altogether.
They moved away from televisions. I know they stopped taking in TVs. I think they stopped taking computer monitors.
Yeah,
stuff like that. I don't know about furniture per se, but I don't see a lot of furniture when I do visit those locations.
But it seems like some of the ones that's out. Have you gone to any of the ones that's out further, out in the suburban areas?
I used to go to like West Bend. I used to go out off of Schroeder over there by the Y. Over there on Brown Deer and Good Hope, Green Bay, excuse me. But I haven't been in a while. But.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I wondered about. And then the Salvation Army, which used to have a location off of 76 in Brown Deer, and you could go out there and just get all kinds of furniture. I brought one of my friends a beautiful brand new Scandinavian kitchen set from out there. They closed that store. So you only got to go like on the south side, somewhere to go to Salvation Army. But if you were somebody that was trying to, get you some used furniture to help start your home, build up, what you need. I just noticed that there's been a shift in what's available. And the stuff has a nerve to be getting higher. You can go on some of these Goodwills and act like you damn in Boston stuff. Or I'm sorry, Macy's. So it's like, no, not doing that. And then there's this little store up here off of 91st, because they give away food and stuff too. A little Christian place that's like a good, thrift store, if you
Mhm.
will. And I noticed that their prices have just crept slowly up, more and more. And I'm just like, I went in there the other day. Well, not the other day. That was something they said. I saw they said things that black people say. And we say the other day when the other day could actually be like 4 months ago. um, but yeah, I went in there and they had like a piece of like janky used furniture for like $49. And I was like, is y'all crazy? Like,
I
this
don't
the
know what
thrift
they use,
store.
what scale they use to price, but
Just
I mean,
whatever that old
sometimes
white
you
man
can.
look at it and say, "Oh, make that $29.99." Like, dude, what is you doing, man?
Yeah,
You
'cause
base this
they
because
can be
I have
priced
laughed
damn near
because
brand new price.
yeah, you got real prices on this stuff, and I just had to laugh. I'm like, nah. So I just start giving my stuff away. I'm like, y'all ain't gonna pimp the community off my goods. And I know I got good stuff too. No, 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 no.
Well, they're not pimping the community, Michelle.
I said,
They give.
y'all not gonna pimp me.
Oh, I thought you said pimp the community off
Off
my
the
goods.
off the stuff, yeah, and then turn around and sell it to the community for higher prices than it really should be. Somebody said Father Jeans is another good spot to donate clothes. People can go shop for free when referred by a community entity or as a walk-in.
Where's Father Jeans?
Where's Father Jeans at? Somebody said if Mother Scott is open, it's better to donate there. Okay, I'm not up on Mother Scott either. So tell me what these places are, and I'll
You
take
know
my
Mother
stuff there.
Scott over
Who's
there
Mother
on
Scott?
Tatonia.
What is that?
Mother Scott's Youth Center.
I ain't never been there. I ain't never heard of it.
You don't remember Mother Annie Naomi Scott?
No.
Mother Scott.
Help me out. Who was that?
Tatonia Center, in between Center and Hadley.
Not my neighborhood.
Bishop Williams Church is right there. You remember Bishop Williams Church?
Debo, you act like I'm from here, man. I
But
don't know
Michelle,
these
they've been there
people.
1,000 years.
But dude, I don't live over
So you
there. I
don't
move
get
around
down in
over there.
Oh, you don't go down there.
I'm just saying I'll
You know
move
what
around
Titonian
on the
Center is?
regular.
You know what Titonian Center is?
Of course.
Okay, so come back. I almost did the
Deep.
homer.
I mean a homer.
Yeah, come back a block, if you will, not even the whole block, about midway of the block. They always have bread and furniture.
Oh yeah,
and stuff
I've seen
outside.
that.
That's Mother Scott.
Okay, I never been in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never,
She passed away some years ago, but she has always been somewhat of a Janetta Robinson, if you will, with activism, giving homeless furniture, food, bread. She had a feeding program that you could come there every day and eat lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah, she was a true pioneer.
Somebody said the House of
Peace.
Yeah, I think because they said the House of People. I'm like, I think
House of
they meant
Peace,
the House of Peace.
17th
10th
and Walnut.
Yeah, that's what they meant. House of Peace. Okay. Well, yeah, that's what that's what I do.
Okay.
But because y'all charging people too much for this stuff. All right. Oh, got a phone call. Let's see what they talking about. Hey, caller, what's happening? Hello.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Morning. This is Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
Hey, we can donate to St. Ben's over there by the courthouse. They distribute closeouts to various different places that people want. Repairs of the breach, you can donate things there. A lot of men over there also. But Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, and I have compared prices because I have taken people from group homes to get items, and you're right, Goodwill prices have really gone up for donations and stuff. And then when they put the yellow or the green tag on for different days, it's stuff that you're not even wearing from the 70s. I'm talking men's shirts with elastic around it. Well, it really is. You know what I'm saying? It's really gone up, and then they mark down the stuff that they know no one's even wearing on the streets here if they ain't got no money. Okay, so that's how they roll. But St. Vincent de Paul, Salvation Army, all those places have a lot of nice things in there. There's a place up on 76 in Hampton.
Yeah.
You can donate there also. But like I said, St. Ben's on 9th and State, and they distribute a lot of the clothes to other places and also, okay? And then there's a men's place around the corner from 12th Street where the Welfare Building is at. I can't remember the name of that. But there's a lot of places you can donate to. And matter of fact, it would be nice if we had a community store where we can have places donating and we can sell it for little or nothing and then give the money back to the community again for special things that we need in our own community. But Goodwill is really overpriced. There's another place I was thinking of too. There's a church up there on 82nd in Silver Spring. It's a Greater New Birth, I'm not sure. But they take clothes and they have people go there and pick out things what they would like.
Oh, really? I never knew GMB took clothes.
There's a place up there. I believe if I'm right, I have to double check it, but I went over there once before and I seen them with donations of clothes. There's a place on Astor Street. It's very small. They don't just take clothes; they take small appliances in, and all their stuff is donated. And I got a winter coat for someone at a group home the other day, $15. Very nice down coat. I just washed it. Okay. So they have clothes, small items, and then the furniture. I thought they stopped that since a lot of bed bugs. But you can go online on the marketplace and buy some furniture if you really needed it. But you really need to make sure you clean that in your basement or outside, or vacuum it out real good from bed bugs, or maybe you use a hairdryer because you need a lot of hot heat for that. But I went on Marketplace and got 2 bikes for some kids earlier this year. And when I met the guy at McDonald's, he gave me a second bike.
Wow.
Okay, so go on Marketplace. You can do a lot of things like that on Marketplace. You just got to make sure you have someone with you and collect the money at the before you let people start sampling and touching things. Like they stole the watches from a young man that was selling some watches, and it was on the south side somewhere, and it was at a police station. And then right out front of the police station, they said you can do that there.
Kathy.
But the people put the watches and tried them on, and they stole them.
Kathy. Hey, Kathy.
Am I too long-winded for you?
You ain't at work, are you?
Yeah, I'm at work right now on the east side over here. I'll get the courthouse in a minute.
Usually you be whispering. You talking good and strong today.
Well, my voice is better today, okay?
Okay.
And when I talk at work, which is telling my business, I'm at my lunch and my break, which I have to be clocked out for. Okay,
Kathy. So, thank you so much, dear.
Bless you.
Dude, don't be messing with people that call my show. Don't be messing with people. Because you know Kathy will zoom up here and push your head.
I know she will.
For her to be a slimmy, she'll zoom up here and be at your head. Stop messing with people. She
always has a wealth of knowledge, though. She certainly gave some great information there.
You know what? Whatever. Whatever. You kill me trying
even in my sickness, I'm still full of it.
He just killed me. Oh my God. Okay, let me do this before I go to commercial break. Today is the 5th day of Kwanzaa.
So you only got one this hour. Do you want to take it now or you want to take it later?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so stop alluding to it if we're not doing it.
Well, see, first of all, if you had told me that before the show started, then I could plan accordingly. Because you didn't share that before the show started. Don't make me house clean on the air. Don't make me do that.
So what do you want to do?
Don't make me house clean on the air.
What do you want to do?
Because, you know, and it almost sounded like you had a tone of like you was checking me. And we know we can't have none of that. But had you told me prior to the show starting, I would have been ready.
Can you see this?
I'm not looking over there. That's not my job to look over there. Do it look like I'm supposed to be looking over there?
Yeah.
Have I ever looked over there?
It's here for you to see.
No, it's not. Has anyone ever said, Michelle, that's here for you to see? You know what? Go to commercial because, see, I need to talk to you right now. Y'all, we're going to be right back. Me and Carvey will be back in just a moment.
The holidays. And holiday trips. And holiday toys. And holiday bonding. And it all comes together in a Chevrolet.
Find your red tag. Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Plus, get $3,750 total value on this Silverado when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Chevrolet. Together.
The passing of a loved one is emotional enough without adding the stress of funeral arrangements. By pre-planning, you receive the desires of your heart while taking away the burden from your family. It also saves you money, providing the dignity and respect your memory deserves. And there are times when life ends unexpectedly. Please know that the New Pitts Mortuary is here to lend a helping, caring hand anytime, day or night. We are the New
Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
Good morning. Welcome back to the show, folks. So I wanted to just make sure that we mentioned that today is the 5th day of Kwanzaa, which is Nia, the 5th principle, purpose. And the day's activities center around the idea of recognizing and embracing one's role in the community and working towards collective goals. So today is you would be lighting the green candle, reflecting on expectations, consider your desires and hopes, as I talked about, getting ready for 2025, discussing with family and friends. When you put stuff out there in the atmosphere, there's a degree of accountability because people will remember you said, I'm planning on, I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. The other thing, determine your purpose. Consider how your purpose will positively impact your family and the community. And when you take a good look at your skills, your skill sets, your talents, and how you can use those to serve family, school, community, etc. So this principle is rooted in the African tradition of sharing destiny and communal goals. It encourages people to find meaning and direction in their actions and to align their personal goals with the advancement of the community. There was the sister that had come in with Claiborne Benson from the Wisconsin Black Historical Society, Dr. Matlock, and her book, Kwanzaa Illuminated. I pulled the book out because I just wanted to look and see what she had by way of information on the lesson and study and discussion questions for Nia. And there are actually some biblical references that she cited in the book. Jeremiah 29:11, Proverbs 19:21, Ephesians 2:10, and Romans 8:28. But she says that the spiritual meaning of this biblical passage from Hebrews 13:1-7 talks about pleasing God through service to others. Hebrews 13:1-7 conveys the spiritual meaning of cultivating love and hospitality within the Christian community, expressing empathy and support for those facing hardships, honoring the sanctity of marriage, and finding contentment in God. Trusting in his constant presence and respecting and imitating the faith of spiritual leaders, not blindly following. These principles contribute to a thriving and spiritually healthy Christian community. Purpose is not self-serving, but to serve others. So she does it, which I thought was interesting, from a cultural meaning, which is what I talked about at first, to a spiritual meaning, and then gives assignments and homework. So this was a very interesting book that Dr. Matlock had put together, and I just wanted to make sure that I referenced that. Greetings, Michelle Habargani, Nia. Let's see. The YWCA has a women's closet for those seeking employment. Based on your eye for fashion, the women will be blessed with power garments. Oh, you know what? Okay, I like that. I can help with that. Thank you so much for flagging that for me. I can definitely help with that. All right. So let me take a moment to pay homage, respect, acknowledge the passing of former United States President Jimmy Carter. James Earl Carter Jr. actually is his name, and we, just affectionately and frequently refer to him as Jimmy Carter, but his name is James Earl Carter Jr. He was the 39th president of the United States, serving from 1977 to 1981. He was hail from the great state of Georgia, and is one of only a few presidents, and I have to see exactly how many there have been, that have actually won the Nobel Peace Prize. And he passed away on yesterday at the age of 100. His wife, Rosalind Carter, who many knew was by his side consistently in a lot of his endeavors, and he supported her work as well. She passed away in November of last year. President Carter, had been in hospice for over 2 years, home hospice, before he made his transition. Like most people, when you start talking about leaders and significant moments, you always try to make a Wisconsin connection, a Milwaukee connection. And I love that the folks over at the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel were thinking of the same thing with a article that they did. And it was done by Bill Glauber. And I'm actually going to just take my information directly from his article because I thought it was well done. It was February 7th, 1975, when a little known 50-year-old former Southern governor came to Wisconsin for the first time in his improbable quest to become president of the United States. During a 2-day dash, the candidate met with Milwaukee Mayor Henry Meyer, spent time with editors and reporters from the Milwaukee Journal, and spoke with young Democrats in Eau Claire and the JCs in Madison. But it was a brief moment on an airplane that set the tone of the early campaign. Quote, "I'm Jimmy Carter from Georgia," the candidate said as he shook hands with the man sitting next to him on a jet leaving Milwaukee. "The Jimmy Carter," the passenger responded. In 1976, Carter would be elected president. Carter died Sunday afternoon in Plains, Georgia at the age of 100. As the country remembers Carter, here are 5 significant connections between the 39th president and Wisconsin. A young Joe Biden came to Madison to endorse Jimmy Carter. 2 men who would become president found common ground in Wisconsin during the 1976 presidential primary. The first elected official outside Georgia to endorse Carter for the presidency that year was Joe Biden, then a 33-year-old U.S. Senator from Delaware. Quote, "I think Carter is the guy who can win," Biden said at a campaign stop in Madison. He called Carter a good old boy who understands what's happening in the industrial states. In a 2021 video tribute for the documentary called Carterland, Biden said he would never forget the day he traveled to Wisconsin, March 25th, 1976, to make the endorsement. Quote, "Some of my colleagues in the Senate thought it was a youthful exuberance on my part. Well, I wasn't exuberant," Biden added. "But as I said then, Jimmy's not just a bright smile. He can win and appeal to more segments of the population than any other person." During the state's 1976 Democratic primary, Carter battled Arizona Congressman Morris Mo Udall. The early returns went Udall's way, and an early edition of the April 7, 1976 Milwaukee Sentinel famously declared Carter upset by Udall. But it turned out the race flipped Carter's way late as he edged out Udall in Wisconsin. The morning after, Carter gleefully held up the Sentinel front page. The general election between Carter and then President Gerald Ford was another epic battle in Wisconsin. Polls in the state showed a tight contest. At a Serb Hall breakfast early in September, Carter told 1,000 people, quote, "We need someone who can lead for a change. We need someone who can manage the government." He added, "I know what it means to be proud of my government, but sometimes in the last few years, we haven't been so proud." Ford made a late appearance in Milwaukee in a bid to flip the state, but Carter won Wisconsin and its 11 electoral votes by 36,000 votes. During the 1976 presidential race, Wisconsin Governor Patrick Lucey enthusiastically campaigned for Carter in the upper Midwest. Carter named Lucey as U.S. ambassador to Mexico, a post he would hold for 2 years and 4 months. But when he returned to Wisconsin, Lucey broke with Carter, who was facing political woes and an eventual tough 3-way battle for the White House in 1980 against Republican Ronald Reagan and independent John B. Anderson. First, Lucey, a longtime friend of the Kennedy family, signed up as a co-chair of Ted Kennedy's insurgent campaign for the 1980 Democratic nomination. When that went belly up, Lucey gave up his spot as a convention delegate and drove home to Wisconsin. Then came the final break. Lucey took the vice presidential slot with Anderson, a Republican congressman from Illinois. Lucy was unsparing in criticism of Carter. Quote, I have not abandoned the Democratic Party. It's Jimmy Carter who has abandoned the Democratic Party. The Anderson-Lucy ticket received 7% of the popular vote in Wisconsin and 6% of the popular vote nationally. Carter faced long odds in 1980. Democrats were split. The Carter-Kennedy race went to the convention. Iran held American hostages, and the economy was sputtering. It was the year of the Reagan Democrat as the former California governor cut into a key part of the Democratic base, working class voters in states like Wisconsin. A red flag went up for the Democrats during the Wisconsin primary. For the first time since 1956, Republicans outdrew Democrats. Reagan also campaigned on what was then Democratic turf, drawing a large crowd at Syrup Hall. In early October, Carter flew into Mitchell Airport as his press secretary, Jody Powell, conceded the president was behind in Wisconsin, but could still pull it out. Carter appeared at the Milwaukee Area Technical College's West Campus in West Allis, touring classrooms as he sought to connect to voters. He lit into Reagan's proposal to cut taxes, charging, quote, it glitters. It promises quick results, easy answers, but it ends up being worthless. In November, Wisconsin was among the 44 states to go to Reagan. In June 1989, Jimmy and Rosalind Carter came to Milwaukee to spearhead a week-long Habitat for Humanity build project at North 23rd Street and West Walnut Street. They were there to help build 6 new homes and rehab 8 others. Dressed in jeans and wielding hammers and saws, the Carters were like any of the other 1,000 volunteers, only they had quite a megaphone. When wet weather threatened the project, Carter took to the local airwaves to plead for roofers. The next morning, a team of roofers showed up. Quote, Habitat has been kind of a new life's experience, a new adventure, inspirational, unpredictable, and very gratifying, Carter said. For us, it's a lot more interesting, a lot more exciting, a lot more pleasurable to spend a week working with our friends on a habitat project than it would be to go to the Virgin Islands. And so those were the moments that former President Jimmy Carter spent in Wisconsin, his connection to the state. But to be able to go back and look at that historical stuff and understand that Wisconsin has long been a battleground state. Wisconsin has long been able to flip one way or the other, Democrat or Republican, and help somebody get across the finish line, depending on how people treat the state, what kind of resources are deployed here, who people bring in to help, pitch for them, be a surrogate for them. But it was also interesting and crazy to go back and reread that portion of history in which Joe Biden, 33 years old at the time, comes to Wisconsin to endorse, to be the first person outside the state of Georgia to endorse Jimmy Carter. That, and that's the thing. When folks tell you, there are no overnight successes, that the work and the foundation has been going on for years, it's so much about politics that we either don't understand, don't remember, don't know, don't care, to figure out, but that there have been relationships and work being done for years and years and years. I was listening to a comedian last night. If you like politics, and you don't have a weak stomach, because this guy is not for the faint of heart. There is a comedian who now has a stand-up show on Netflix running. His name is Hassan Minha, and I may be saying his last name incorrectly, but it's Minhaj. I watched his stand-up late last night while I was doing some other stuff. He said a couple of things that just literally, you had to just stand back and just kind of like, okay. But the historical references that he provided, so when people are all in an uproar about an issue, uh, how quickly people will turn on you. So he used a sports analogy, and he was talking about, like, if people had gone after Ruth Bader Ginsburg the way they went after Tom Brady, that Roe v. Wade would still be in place. And I had to turn to look at the television to see what he was saying, because he made the point of how in sports that the American public can be very, very unforgiving and unfair. And he used the example of Tom Brady. And he said, when it was clear that Tom Brady was struggling and was not going, and I'm paraphrasing some of it, but was not going to be able to give, the country an eighth Super Bowl win. His home team is an eighth Super Bowl win. People start trashing him, and it was like, you got 2 years time to get it together. And then, so they start trashing him, trash his wife, trash his kids, just trash his career. But this man had been phenomenal, an incredible athlete. But just like that, you can't get us another Super Bowl. You trash to us. Go away. And he said, if we treated politicians the way we treat athletes, we would have very different outcomes in this country. And he used Ruth Bader Ginsburg as an example. This is what made me turn my head to the side. But I know this, but to hear somebody say it, it just was interesting, because he said Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in the last 20 years of her life, have fought cancer 5 times. Okay. I don't remember if it was exactly 5, but I know she had fought cancer multiple times. And he said, and Barack Obama is standing there like, Ruth, you 87, fam. You battling cancer for the umpteenth time. I need you to resign so I can put somebody else in here. She would not resign. And while no, you can't put all of Roe v. Wade on the back of a Ruth Bader Ginsburg for not stepping out in a way that would allow Barack Obama to put somebody in place, as opposed to Mitch McConnell being able to steal, appointments, which is what he ends up doing. But you do understand, and he was basically like, so we walking around like, oh, she's our hero, she's this, she's that. But the one thing we needed you to do, which was to get out the way so that Obama could get this appointment, she didn't do it. And you like, why? Like, why didn't you do it? And so I had to kind of chuckle, but it made you stop to think about it. So then you got to go back and you got to do the history. You got to understand, what was happening at the moment, what was happening over the course of this woman's lifetime. Why would she take the position that she did and not want to retire? It was crazy. But so I just wanted to flag that for y'all, because I said I was going to tell y'all about this dude. And he's in, I think, what is he? Is he Indian? He's either Indian. I forgot what his ethnicity is. But this his comedy, like I said, some of it is like, ooh, it's a little deep in terms of borderline, I don't know if you should have said that, because it can border on, and it's not vulgar necessarily, but it's like some hard, when you talk about certain things, you'd be like, too soon, should I have said that? But yeah, check that out on Netflix for people that are truly political junkies. He makes some very, very interesting observations, particularly as a person of color. It just got me, and I'm gonna watch it again, because I know I missed a couple of things, but I wanted to flag that for you all. So we will wait to see, what happens with President Carter's homegoing services, and over the course of the day, I won't belabor all that this man did to try to bring about a respect for human life and decency. his fight for human rights, civil rights. That, it's funny when uh, Joe Biden was quoted in his article as calling him a good old boy, but he was in the truest sense of the word, not the racist, because we say good old boys in the black community, that's somebody that's racist. That's a white individual that's racist. So I laughed that Joe Biden used that term or that phrasing to talk about Jimmy Carter, but he really was legitimately a guy who believed in doing the right thing. And there are some really good documentaries on Carter. If you have not seen them, I encourage you to watch them, because they really do a lot to highlight who this guy was, and to have a Carter versus this thing we got in coming to the White House now. It's just too much. Somebody who respected life, respects human life, respects civil rights, respected women. And then we got America, half of America. You know, like, I'm okay with somebody accused of sexual assault, and somebody who stole from charity, and somebody who created a fake college and ripped off people and had to be forced by the courts to pay people back their hard-earned money for these fake, degrees. That person, it's amazing what we are willing to allow just because we want something, and what we're willing to overlook when we know it's wrong, but we want something. So, fair enough. But I got to take a minute and talk about a case. I posted it on my Facebook page. A case that I read. In fact, let me just go to my Facebook page, because when I posted it, I knew I wanted to say something. I didn't know what I wanted to say. So I said, and this is in relationship to a video that came out of New York, in which an incarcerated guy, a black man, was being beat viciously by a number of correctional officers who looked to be either white and Hispanic or a combination. And I'll talk about that. But I said on my post on December 28th, so what would have happened had the body camera not been on? Just another black man dead and no one held accountable. But no one will call them animals, thugs, or vile human beings. This was a part of why Colin Kaepernick took to his knees. Remember that the next time you sit in front of a football game. He's not working because he called out behavior like this. And then if you go to the story, the video just makes you want to throw up. Body-worn camera footage, which was released this past Friday, showed correctional officers at the Marcy Correctional Facility in upstate New York punching and kicking a handcuffed inmate in a fatal beating that is now under investigation by New York Attorney General Letitia James. Robert Brooks was pronounced dead on December 10th at Wynn Hospital in Utica, according to A.G. James. He was 43 years old, and he was serving a 12-year prison sentence that he started in 2017 for first-degree assault. The officers are shown in the video surrounding Mr. Brooks, and they are kicking and punching him while his hands are handcuffed behind his back, and he's in a medical examination room. His face is bloody and beaten and swollen, and he has knots all over his face. At one point, you can see an officer take something and shove it into his mouth before repeatedly punching him in the face. Another officer then punches Mr. Brooks in his groin and then uses a shoe to hit him. So the AG, Letitia James, has announced that she is going to open an investigation into his death. As the Attorney General, you have my word that we will use every possible tool available to us to investigate his death thoroughly and swiftly. She said 4 of the officers involved were wearing body cameras, but did not activate them. So the cameras did not record audio of the incident, but there were some officers whose body cams were on, but their audio wasn't picking up on anything. These videos are shocking and disturbing, and I advise all to take appropriate care before choosing to watch them, is what she said. I concur with that. The thing that's so crazy is Mr. Brooks had only been at the Marcy Correctional Facility for one day because he had been transferred, and this is a medium security prison. He had transferred in from Mohawk Correctional Facility over to Marcy Correctional Facility, but he had only been there one day. How you go there one day, end up going to the emergency room and getting stomped and kicked and beaten by the police to the point that parts of the footage show Mr. Brooks face down with his hands handcuffed behind his back. He's being carried into the building by 3 officers. Still don't know why he was brought in, why he was on his way to the examination room. But the Attorney General released 8 videos from body-worn cameras from 4 different officers. Throughout most of the footage, he's handcuffed, hands behind his back, as these officers are punching and kicking him in the face, chest, and groin. Kicking him in the face, y'all. Footage shows him literally being carried face down into the facility when they first bring him in. 2 officers holding his arms, 1 holding his feet. They take him into a medical examination room. Then the part that gets me is 2 corrections officers pull him up to a seated position at the edge of the examination table. 1 officer holds him by the back of his neck before laying him flat on his back. Another officer puts his foot on Brooks's lower torso, and one of the first officers who punched him hits him again in the chest. The officer who struck Brooks with his leg is then seen restraining Brooks' legs before punching him in the butt 3 more times. He and another officer appear to yank Brooks up to the edge of the examination table once again. You can see that his face is all bloody and bruised and beaten. Brooks appears to try to speak before an officer punches him in the chest again. They grab him by his collar and pick him up off the table and then shove him back into a corner of the room and hold him up against the wall while these other officers are standing around. Minutes later, in the video, one of the officers, they give him what they call a sternum rub, which is used to try to assess if a person is still conscious. Then the video goes black. When you see the video again, Brooks is no longer handcuffed. He is lying on the examination table, motionless in his underwear. So after these officers beat this man, and it looks like they snapped his spine, and I had Freddie Gray images of the way they were like dragging him when they picked him up off that examination table. It looked like they broke or injured his spine. Then all of a sudden, when the video comes back on, he is in his underwear, laying on the exam table. Now, and not handcuffed. Now, how did he go from being cuffed to uncuffed, dressed to undressed? So the physician who came in and took a look at the video stuff, they said that they believe he sustained a fatal spinal cord injury when the officers lifted him from the table by his shirt. The doctor said, my jaw hit the floor when I saw it because it looked like just enough force in the right direction to do real damage. He noted that Mr. Brooks was previously alert. He does not seem to move or react to stimuli after the officers pick him up. The way that the officers lifted him hyperextended his neck, is what the doctor explained. This could have caused a devastating spinal cord injury, the result of which would be immediate or almost immediate paralysis of the body, including the respiratory muscles. And one of the things that everybody said when they looked at the video, Brooks appeared to be compliant, was not posing a threat when the officers were using force against him. And they just beat this man. There is one point in the video when officers are cleaning blood off his face and they begin to strike him and continue to strike him and grab him for the next 30 seconds. So they had beat this man so bad that his face was so bloody that they didn't want to keep either punching him in that blood, or maybe their hand wasn't making the contact they wanted to because, his face is wet. So you're not getting the kind of contact you want. So they literally clean the blood off his face so they can keep beating him. So far, 14 officers have been fired. Now, we're still waiting to hear about arrest, waiting to hear about potential charges. The governor of New York comes out, Kathy Hochul. She condemns it, calls it outrageous and horrifying to see the footage. They're now investigating the entire facility because this is a culture, y'all. These people didn't just wake up and become these ignorant individuals that stomped and kicked and beat that boy like that. This is a culture. And see, that thing that will not allow me to turn on a damn football game. I just can't do it. Because the idea that somebody gets fired and moved around because they say what's happening to black men at the hands of black men and women at the hands of law enforcement when these people are unarmed is crazy. This brother was speaking up for us. And we so damn tripped out that we can't even show no kind of solidarity for somebody who was trying to use his platform to help us. And so these beatings have continued. And they continue. And they continue. And these white boys feel complete empowerment to stomp us in the ground because ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Black folks ain't gonna say nothing. Shake your behind at a damn Super Bowl halftime show. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing. If y'all see the way they beat this man, the video literally is sickening. And I just looked at all of these, like I said, they either white and Latino. I didn't see any brothers in there. I'm not saying there wasn't no brothers, but I didn't see any in the video. But I just thought, like, this the thing, and I don't care if you like a criminal and a thug in the street, or if you are a police officer that's abusing your authority and your power, or just a person just out here in the community on some dumb stuff. What I've never understood is how you can be so bad, but then try to cover up what, if I did it, I'm going to tell you I did it. And I'm going to stand right there. I'm going to stand on it. You beat the brakes off this man. You killed him. Then you strip him to his underwear. Take the handcuffs off of him. And then all of these men, and some of these men were big men. This was a small dude. He was not a big man. You so bad, you stomping somebody who can't fight your behind back. Like that part right there. Grown people with a gang mentality, you stomping and beating on a helpless individual. You ain't fill in the blank. It ain't nothing about you that's a man. It's nothing about you that's an adult. It's nothing about you that's bad. And it's several of y'all beating on this man like that. That mess is a culture. Those beatings are going on inside that facility. And then I'm trying to figure out, because what y'all do? Tell the nursing staff and the doctors not to come in that exam room? Because most exam rooms, I just don't understand how did nobody understand and hear what the hell was going on in that room. So now I'm also looking at the hospital sideways. But y'all, this is what Colin Kaepernick was on his knees about. And what many of y'all have turned around and said so. It's just way more important for me to watch this player run this ball and support my Packers and support my team, but we steady getting killed. This is what he was talking about. And see, until it's your child, until it's your son, your grandson, your brother, your husband, you don't give a damn. You look at these stories, you shake your head, Lord have mercy, Jesus, 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 and you turn the damn game right back on. You go right back to life as usual. I'm sorry, because I know I'm stepping on some toes, but y'all, I'm sorry. I say it all the time. People treat you how you let them treat you. We have a problem in our community that we do not raise sufficient hell about the way we get treated. And then people that sit on the sidelines will talk that BS. You know, when you got Avon maids and folks out here marching in the streets, you know, it's time out for marching. Marching is dead. We need to do something else. Well, what you doing? What are you doing? Because people doing the best they know how with what they have. What are you doing to help stop our brothers and sisters from ending up in these situations? And I don't care what that man did. I don't care what litany of, you know, he battered somebody, he beat somebody, he raped somebody. I don't care what they say. It does not justify what was done to that man in that damn hospital. It does not. That's what I said the other day when I was talking about, you know, no matter, you know, people talking about, oh, these people been released and these people this and these people that. You are not to treat people this way. That's why we have a justice system and laws. I don't want to become what you were. But ain't nobody call these white boys thugs and animals. I ain't heard the animal word be used not one time by nobody. All we got to do is have a bunch of black kids get into a fight outside the mall. They animals and they thugs. Colin Kaepernick got called everything under the sun by this raggedy SOB that's about to become the president because he took a knee to talk about this very type of abuse. Callers, I see y'all. I'll be right there. People treat you how you let them treat you. We continuously show as a community that we're not willing to go to 9 to defend us, to protect us, to say that we need to be safe. And then the minute something happen to your child, your family member, your loved one, then you're going to be looking for everybody to rally. And then you're going to be pissed off when don't nobody show up. But the thing was, who did you show up for? Who you show up for? These companies, I just told Keisha and them yesterday, I'm done now with Walmart. Can't go back to Walmart. Won't be in Walmart. Because when you start telling me you letting these companies pressure you not to do DEI and you start rolling back this work, and then you see a Costco, I have never stepped foot in Costco. Ain't never wanted to go to Costco. I just didn't need another big box store in my life. But the folks at Costco come out and say, and I just want to pull it up. They come out and say, we welcome members from all walks of life and backgrounds. As our membership diversifies, we believe that serving it with a diverse group of employees enhances satisfactions. The board of Costco told their shareholders, I don't give a damn what these racist white boys is trying to do. The people that spend their money in this store ain't all white. They ain't all white men, and ain't nobody being discriminated against in this store and in these positions. We hire qualified people, but we do make an effort to make sure that the management and the administration and the leadership of this company reflects the people that shop and spend money to keep our doors open. See, they want your money, but they don't want you. Did you hear what I just said? They want your money, but they don't want you. Well, how'd that work? And so you got companies preemptively, oh, well, we getting rid of DEI. We going to just call it inclusion. We going to call it something else so white men can feel good about themselves who have not been successful in life. Oh, because they so upset. Or wealthy, rich white men who just trying to make everybody else mad. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Am I coming through? Good morning. Good morning, Michelle.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, man. Carvey. Good morning, man. Debo. Get some citrus in you, man. Debo. Get some lemons and some citrus in you. You'll feel better. So, best wishes to the new year for everybody. Good morning, Milwaukee. Tyrone W. speaking. Couple different things, and you're absolutely right, Michelle. No excuses, no reason, and the hospital. Everybody needs to be brought up on the carpet and looked at. The medical people and he was being transported, you said, from Marcy to Mohawk or Mohawk to Marcy?
No, he had left Mohawk and been transferred to Marcy.
Okay.
So he had only been there for one day before they took him to this place.
So he was being transported by the guards themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but now the actual, I don't know, is the sheriff department over both of those? Just like here, I guess when, Clark was, and I guess Ball, he has a house correction. I don't know if she does now because I guess it kind of changed hands or something there. But I guess David Clark had the house correction. He was over house correction, sheriff's department.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's the same way out there, but it sounds like they're just basically like sergeants and 3, 4, 5 stripe sergeants and people like that. There's no brass incorporated, no captains, no lieutenants. I don't know, but it doesn't. Where was the brass? I mean, like the captains, the lieutenants, the higher the higher ups, the higher brass. That's where your accountability is going to have to come in, because then you get people like governors and chiefs of police forces saying, you're not you're not fit to wear this brass. That's their pay range, and chain of command, true enough, but that's their pay scale too. If you're high up in the brass, they messing with your money. If you're talking about, doing something to a captain or a lieutenant or, a general or something like that, your captains and chiefs and stuff like that, So I was wondering where the people in the brass were. These little sergeants and stuff like that, they're getting them, they're holding on to their jobs. I mean, they're not, but that doesn't justify it, like you said. But I mean, I don't even know what's even the job description describes that. That's any part of the job there.
Of
So
course
I mean,
it's not. Of course,
yeah,
it's,
right,
of course
right,
it's
right,
not.
and that's where your captains and your lieutenants have to step in and say, what were you thinking? When we signed you up for this, they all got to be brought on the carpet. That's not right. There's no justification in that at all.
All right.
And going over into the new year, then I'll bring you up, because we talked about it before, but all the players on all the teams, even going back to college, have to be on the same page in order for that to work. Because if there's no football game, there's no halftime show. We'll talk about that. There's no football game, there's no Super Bowl, there's no halftime show. But all the players have to, because, the houses and the lifestyles that they have now, they've got to be willing to say, well, what are we going to do to supplement that and keep that up in our houses and everything?
No, that ain't gonna. This ain't.
No. I'm just saying.
You talking about fans?
I'm not going to debate your fight.
Fans can help make a decision about what happens.
Right.
We got choices to make too.
Yep. But all players on every team has to do it, though.
Yeah, no. If not a single player does anything, the fans alone can dictate what goes on. Because if we don't watch, ain't nobody showing up for you. So we can control it. See, we want to pass the buck. Thank you for the call, Tyrone.
Okay.
We want to pass the buck. That's the problem. We don't want to have to be uncomfortable. We don't want to give up nothing. We don't want to, I don't want to call it struggle, because not watching a damn football game ain't a struggle. But we don't want to be able to send a point, because then I'm going to miss something that I enjoy. But y'all, until we figure out that this stuff is bigger than us as an individual, that whole piece about collective, as they talk about these Kwanzaa principles, what are we doing for the collective? Far too many of us are doing for self and ours. Far too many. When I saw that young man being beat, I saw every brother I know. And people are like, well, I mean, what did they do to get in that position? And my son may never do nothing. But I also know that everybody in jail ain't guilty. I know that too. People treat you how you let them treat you. Back to the point when we was doing Black Advocacy Day at the Capitol. Bringing people to the state capitol because we were never there to advocate for nothing. These people are making laws and decisions about our lives every day, and we ain't never there to testify. We not there to say, I believe this is right, wrong, I support it, I don't support it. You would think that Black people's lives were amazing and fabulous because don't nobody never call the Capitol. Oh, unless your heat get turned off or something, or you can't pay your utility bill. Now you're looking for help. But on all of these big picture issues that we need to keep our eye on, so we started bussing people in. Because we understood the only way we was going to get most people to come is if we paid for you to come. You wouldn't be able to do it or figure it out or want to do it on your own. I'm just saying. If people don't understand and appreciate what we are up against right now, I got to go back and find the story where this white man just did something to somebody. And he said to the person after he harmed them, this is Trump's America now. I mean, now, let me be clear. This man is sick. This man is sick. What you did don't have nothing to do with Donald Trump. You just was a jerk and a racist, and you used Trump as an excuse to do what you wanted to do. But we entering a different phase right now. And some of y'all ain't gonna know until it tap you on the behind. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Miss Bryant. Thank you for taking my call.
Good morning, Christopher.
Assalamu alaikum to you, and to everyone in the studio, I should say.
Yes.
Well, I was listening to you, and I agree 100%. And as a like a preface, or I should say a preface, student minister Ishmael Muhammad gave a lecture yesterday over the internet, NOI.org, speaking pretty much to some of what you're talking about. He had an address at a prison, I think it was in Alabama, and he said that the prison didn't look like a prison from the outside. It was called Core something, another name with a V, and they've made the prison look more appealing aesthetically as people go by, that they look like not like a prison, and it's a privatized prison, so it's not ran or it doesn't have any, it's not under the purview of the state or the federal government or the state government. It's a private prison. I'm sure things do apply as a private business, but it is a private business, which is a prison, and that is what has been the afoot, I think I could say, with regard to how the prison industrial complex is being used and ran and financed or sustained by young Black men and women. He said that when he went inside of the prison and giving his lecture, they had the people in there, the Black people, making things for a company called Wilson's, basketballs, gloves, and things that were associated to baseball. And primarily, what was the essence of his address was unity. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. And what people have to understand is that with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when we talk about self, it's not self meaning individual. It means that self collectively as a people, as what the tenets of Kwanzaa speak to with regard to us, community. We need to establish a community so that we can do for ourselves what we go out and have other people do for us. And the reason why it's so easy for them to do those things to Black men or Black people in general is because the Willie Lynch syndrome is the prevailing sickness that we as a people suffer from, which a lot of us have bought into the idea of the I, the individual. It's all about me, as opposed to looking at things synergistically and seeing that I am a component part of something that is much greater and broader than myself, so that I have to take into consideration what I do as an individual, how it could be perceived, misperceived, or it could impact positively or negatively from the nation of people that I hail from. And ultimately, what it is that we have embraced and ran amok with the sickness of the Willie Lynch syndrome, the idea of accentuating our differences as opposed to looking to what collectively we may suffer from and what we may have to endure as a nation of people. We've gotten away from that even to conceptualize that idea of being a nation. We don't even talk like that. We are so busy trying to prove our worth and our value to the very people who have destroyed us and who benefit from our suffering. So unity with us is what will clear all of the madness up. And as long as we have people who have embraced the Willie Lynch mentality with like, I'm different from you, and although we live in the same country, I'm different from you, although because I came from New York and you came from South Florida, some place like that. But what we all have in common is that we're Black, and predominantly that the mass of us aren't as good off as a small, maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 3% of us that may be doing okay. So we don't profess and we don't promote unification or nationhood. We just keep telling ourselves that I'm a African American or I'm a Black American. I'm some nigger in America or something so stupid. And that's why we continue to fall over our own feet, and we are being our own worst nightmare and worst enemies because of the lack of unity, mentally, economically, and collectively as a people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christopher. A couple of things. And number one, you reminded me of a story I had read, and I had to go back and pull that. But let me do this. Can I play this? I'm gonna play it off my phone, Devo. I'm just gonna hold it up to the mic. Hang on. Let's see if I can get it to come.
I want to say a special thanks to BET, my new family. I can't wait to get started over there with our new shows. Thank you so much for this. To Scott and everybody over there, thank you so much. To Viacom, Shari, who's here, Bob, everybody. Listen, from my heart, I want to say thank you. I couldn't help but think about my mother. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. I couldn't help but think about my mother. I remember being a kid, about 5 years old. She would take me into the projects with her when she played cards on Friday nights with a bunch of women. Now, these women didn't have more than a 12th grade education, but they were smart Black women. They were powerful Black women. They had great stories to tell. And I was a 5-year-old kid sitting there on the floor playing with my Matchbox cars, listening to them talk about their men, their relationships, and their pains. And when one of them would get really sad, another woman would come in and make a joke, and they'd all start laughing. I didn't know I was in a master class for my life. I would get home, and my father would be beating my mother and doing all kinds of things and saying all kinds of stuff to her, and he would leave the room, and I'd walk in, and I'd imitate one of those women, and she would start laughing. There was a power in that I didn't really get until I got older. I remember being about 11, 12 years old on my way to my new school, and I got to this intersection. I had to walk past pimps, prostitutes, literally walk through a graveyard, get to this intersection, 6-lane intersection, and there was a man standing there saying, "Will someone help me cross? Will someone help me cross?" And there were all these people that kept passing by him and passing by him. I said, "I'll help you cross." So he told me he was going to my school, and he was going to sell candy there. That's how he made his living. So I helped him cross the street to get there. We became good friends. His name was Mr. Butler. That moment reminded me of my mother, bringing her out of pain into laughter to help her cross. My first 10 movies were all about her subconsciously, wanting her to know that she was worthy, wanting Black women to know you're worthy, you're special, you're powerful, you're amazing. All of that was about helping across. When I started hiring people like Taraji and Viola Davis and Idris Elba, they couldn't get jobs in this town, but God blessed me to be in a position to be able to hire them. I was trying to help somebody cross. When I built my studio, I built it in a neighborhood that is one of the poorest Black neighborhoods in Atlanta, so the young Black kids could see that a Black man did that and they can do it too. I was trying to help somebody cross. The studio was once a Confederate Army base, and I want you to hear this, which meant that there was Confederate soldiers on that base plotting and planning on how to keep 3.9 million Negroes enslaved. Now that land is owned by one Negro. It's all about trying to help somebody cross. While everybody was fighting for a seat at the table, talking about Oscar so white, I said, y'all go ahead and do that. But while you fighting for a seat at the table, I'll be down in Atlanta building my own. Because what I know for sure is that if I could just build this table, God would prepare it for me in the presence of my enemies. Rather than being an icon, I want to be an inspiration. So thank you, BET, my new family. Thank you, everybody. I want you to hear this. Every dreamer in this room, there are people whose lives are tied into your dream. Own your stuff. Own your business. Own your way. God bless you. Thank you, BET. Thank you, Scott.
All right, y'all. So that was from an acceptance speech that Tyler Perry gave during BET Awards, and that was from a little while ago. But as I watched the 688 movie, and his ability to bring this story forward that had been ignored, by a lot of people for so many years. We know that there had been some later acknowledgement, but just what people say all the time: who gonna tell your stories? Who values you? Who values your history? Or how will your history be told? How will a story be told? The significance of listening to what he said, that yeah, I started imitating those women back in the day because when they were going through struggles, they were able to bring each other through with laughter and humor. And when he saw his mother, who was going through domestic violence, he started imitating those women who he had been around as a young boy to help his mother get through what she was going through. And ultimately, what did he say? My first 10 movies is homage to my mom, even though I didn't realize that. But I understood that there was something there that needed to be elevated, celebrated, uplifted. But then at the same time, I got people that want to, dog and berate and degrade, Tyler Perry. How could you do this? How could you do that? You're making black men look weak. But here's a black man who's employing black people. Here's a black man who owns a former plantation. Here's a black man who said, I didn't put on no dress because I'm cross-dressing, because I'm transgender, but I started trying to figure out the things that I knew, which was black women, because I had been raised around them, and humor, and what would resonate with people. We so busy worrying about what somebody was doing in their bedroom, we can't see what they doing every day in the lives of people around them. And that there are hundreds and thousands of people employed because of this brother coming to the table. But the larger society will want you to focus on one thing. Is he gay? What's up with the demasculation of men? But then I need you to define manhood for me. It is all of that stuff that we get caught up into, that we don't pay attention to the big picture. And I go back and I think about, as we get ready to celebrate Martin Luther King, when they threatened him with Bayard Rustin, that we gonna link you to him and say you was gay and in a relationship with him. And Dr. King said, well, go for what you know then, player. Because he getting ready to organize this march. He done did this work and he gonna be up here at the table. Now I'll let you do that to me the first time. It won't happen the second time. Because we got bigger issues as black people than whether Bayard Rustin is gay and who he's sleeping with. We got bigger issues than that. And so, to King's credit, even when other black leaders tried to threaten him, he was like, man, do what you got to do. Go for what you know. When we realize that we can have differences, we can see the world differently, we can believe differently, but it's just some common things, y'all, we got to figure out how to agree on. And the survival of black folks has to be one of them. And to be treated with dignity and respect and have what we need to thrive and prosper and succeed has got to be on that short list. And I don't care what end of the spectrum you are on in terms of education or money or access or power. There are just some things that Finlayson understood the same way as the factory worker at Briggs or Masterlock. There are some things that the Halyards understood the same way the people who own the tavern and the bar. There are some things that the pastors of these churches understood the same way as the folks who own the liquor store in the black community that was black. It's some basics we got to agree on. One of which is we have to speak up and stand up for one another when we see stuff that's wrong. And we got to be willing to bring to bear all of our power and strength as a people to make sure that folks don't mess over us. We are the biggest economic spender in this country. We spend more money on goods and services than everybody. I said they were selling hair weave in TJ Maxx, Jesus. I will say this. Do I have to take a break or am I okay? Okay. When Christopher was talking, he made me think of something. When he talked about these prisons and how these folks are being used. Early this year, there was a story in the Associated Press. The title of it, Prisoners in the U.S. are a part of a hidden workforce linked to hundreds of popular food brands. A hidden path to America's dinner tables begins here at an unlikely source, a former Southern plantation that is now the country's largest maximum security prison. You think that's a coincidence? A former slave plantation is now home to the nation's largest maximum security prison. Okay. Unmarked trucks parked with prison-raised cattle roll out of the Louisiana State Penitentiary, where men are sentenced to hard labor and forced to work for pennies an hour or sometimes nothing at all. After rumbling down a country road to an auction house, the cows are bought by a local rancher and then followed by the Associated Press another 600 miles to a Texas slaughterhouse that feeds into the supply chains of giants like McDonald's, Walmart, and Cargill. Intricate invisible webs, just like this one, link some of the world's largest food companies and most popular brands to jobs performed by U.S. prisoners nationwide. According to a 2-year sweeping investigation done by the Associated Press into prison labor that tied hundreds of millions of dollars worth of agricultural products and goods sold on the open market. They are among America's most vulnerable laborers. If they refuse to work, some can jeopardize their chances of parole or face punishment like being sent to solitary confinement. They are also often excluded from protections guaranteed to almost all other full-time workers, even when they are seriously injured or killed on the job. The goods these prisoners produce wind up in the supply chains of a dizzying array of products found in most American kitchens, from Frosted Flake cereals and ballpark hot dogs to gold medal flour, Coca-Cola, and Riceland rice. They are on the shelves of virtually every supermarket in the country, including Kroger, Target, Aldi's, Whole Foods. And some goods are exported, including to countries that have been products blocked from entering the U.S. for using forced or prison labor. Many of the companies buying directly from prisons are violating their own policies against the use of such labor, but it is completely legal, dating back largely to the need for labor to help rebuild the South's shattered economy after the Civil War. Enshrined in the Constitution by the 13th Amendment, slavery and involuntary servitude are banned, except as a punishment for crime. It is legal in Wisconsin to have slavery if you are incarcerated. That cause is currently being challenged on the federal level, and efforts to remove similar language from state constitutions are expected to reach the ballot in about a dozen states just this year. When Lena Taylor was in office, that was one of the things that she championed, which was to get that removed from the Wisconsin Constitution. Some prisoners work on the same plantation soil where slaves harvested cotton, tobacco, and sugarcane more than 150 years ago, with some present-day images looking eerily similar to the past. In Louisiana, which has one of the country's highest incarceration rates, men working on the farm line still stoop over crops stretching far into the distance. Willie Ingram picked everything from cotton to okra during his 51 years in the state penitentiary, better known as Angola. During his time in the fields, he was overseen by armed guards on horseback and recalled seeing men working with little or no water, passing out in triple-digit heat. Some days, he said, workers would throw their tools in the air to protest, despite knowing the potential consequences. Quote, they'd come, maybe 4 in a truck, shields over their face, billy clubs, and they beat you right back there in the field. They beat you, handcuff you, and beat you again, said Ingram, who received a life sentence after pleading guilty to a crime he said he didn't commit. He was told he would serve 10 and a half years and avoid a possible death penalty, but it wasn't until 2021 that a sympathetic judge finally released him. He was 73 years old. He was only supposed to serve 10 and a half years. The number of people behind bars in the United States started to soar in the 1970s just as Ingram entered the system, disproportionately hitting people of color. Now, with about 2 million people locked up, U.S. prison farm labor from all sectors has morphed into a multi-billion-dollar empire, extending far beyond the classic images of prisoners stamping license plates, working on road crews, or battling wildfires. Though almost every state has some kind of farming program, agriculture represents only a small fraction of the overall prison workforce. Still, an analysis of data amassed by the Associated Press from correctional facilities nationwide traced nearly $200 million worth of sales of farmed goods and livestock to businesses over the past 6 years, a conservative figure that does not include tens of millions more in sales to state and government entities. Much of the data provided was incomplete, though it was clear that the biggest revenues came from sprawling operations in the South and leasing out prisoners to companies. Corrections officials and other proponents note that not all work is forced and that prison jobs save taxpayers money. For example, in some cases, the food produced is served in prison kitchens or donated to those in need. Outside, they also say workers are learning skills that can be used when they're released and given a sense of purpose, which could ward off repeat offenses. And in some places, it allows prisoners to also shave time off their sentences, and the jobs provide a way to repay a debt to society, they say. While most critics don't believe all jobs should be eliminated, they say incarcerated people should be paid fairly, treated humanely, and that all work should be voluntary. Some note that even when people get specialized training like firefighting, their criminal records can make it almost impossible to get hired on the outside. They are largely uncompensated, they're being forced to work, and it's unsafe. They also aren't learning skills that will help them when they're released, said a law professor who was talking about this issue. But to give you an example of how these people have few protections. In addition to tapping a cheap, reliable workforce, companies sometimes get tax credits or other financial incentives. Incarcerated workers also typically aren't covered by most basic protections, including workers' comp and federal safety standards. In many cases, they cannot file official complaints about poor working conditions. The prisoners often work in industries with severe labor shortages, doing some of the country's dirtiest and most dangerous jobs. There is this guy. One of these examples, Frank Dwayne Ellington, who was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after stealing a man's wallet at gunpoint, a result of Alabama's Habitual Offenders Act. So that was like California's 3 strikes and you out. The man stole somebody's wallet, but because it was his third strike, all low-level offenses, he was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. In 2017, he was working at one of these companies that inmates are leased out to. He was cleaning a machine near the chicken, quote, kill line in Ashland at a Koch Foods. And this is the same Koch of the Koch brothers. One of the country's biggest poultry processing companies. When its whirling teeth caught his arm and sucked him inside, crushing his skull, he died instantly. During a year-long battle, Koch Foods at first argued Ellington wasn't technically an employee. He working at your plant. You leasing his labor through the prison, but they said he technically wasn't an employee, and later said his family should be barred from filing for a wrongful death because the company paid his funeral expenses. The case eventually was settled under undisclosed terms. The occupational OSHA fined the company $19,000, saying the workers had not been given proper training and that its machines had inadequate safety guards. So you pay the family a little bit of money. We don't know what you paid them. You didn't want to pay him nothing because you said we buried him. So what you want? And he technically is not an employee, even though he is inside our plant operating our machinery and we brought him here. You get fined $19,000, but your equipment kills somebody. This whole thing about tying prison labor to the supply chains of some of the world's biggest companies, let me give you an idea of what those companies look like. Hillshire Farms, I got they smoked sausage in my house right now. Domino's Pizza, I just had one last week. Burger King, I don't eat at Burger King. Ballpark Franks, I got those hot dogs in my refrigerator right now. Aldi's, I typically don't go to Aldi's, but I have been. Kroger, I shop in Kroger when I'm in the South. Hickman's, never been there. Coca-Cola, just had one over the holiday. Cheerios, I don't think I have any in my house right now, but Honey Nut Cheerios is one of my favorite. Sara Lee, McDonald's, I go there and get their coffee. Land O'Lakes, I got their butter in the house. Pepsi, just had a cherry Pepsi last night. Sam's Club, I'm a member. Costco, just said I'm about to join. Target, Jimmy Dean Sausage, got those in the house. Whole Foods, have gone, but I'm not a Whole Foods fan. All of these places, the work of people that are incarcerated in terms of agriculture and food makes its way into all of these places. Russell Stover Candy makes its way into these places. And so you got folks saying that our policies restrict us from using forced labor. But McDonald's is not investigating when the private prison says we sending you 12 inmates to come work your line or, do whatever it is you need. They're not checking if those people voluntarily wanted to work or if they're being punished if they refuse to work. No. And somebody said, and when the immigrants are gone, they'll be picking the fruit also. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all done by design, y'all. It's no irony or happenstance that a former plantation 150 years later got mostly Black folks working on it for these companies. It's no shocker. This is a very lengthy piece that was done by the Associated Press early this year. But it speaks to a broader point, which is where I started with the beating of Mr. Brooks, that there is a culture in a lot of these correctional facilities amongst law enforcement that these people, many of whom are people of color, Black folks specifically, you are nothing more than a commodity. You mean nothing. Somebody said an FYI, Pick and Save Metro Market is a subsidiary of Kroger. You mean nothing. And so at some point, we got to figure out that we mean something to ourselves. It's not enough to light a Kanar and, talk about Kwanzaa and, do a little projects here, go to a feel-good program if it doesn't translate into the work in the community. There was a time when we had to be somewhat on the same page because we had no choice. We got choices now. But when we fully appreciate the power that we have as a collective community, when we all decide, when I move, you move, just like that. When we all figure it out, stuff changes for us, y'all. But people know they can divide us on sexual orientation. They can divide us on economics. They can divide us on education. They can divide us on you in the Divine Nine, you not. You went to an Ivy League school. You went to an HBCU. You went to a technical school. You got a trade. People figure it out. And they use those wedge issues to keep us from coming together to make change that will make a difference in the lives of Black folks in this country. They tear us up. At some point, we have to care more about us collectively than we do about ourselves individually. What they say, everybody ain't good until everybody is good. With that, is that the show? Or I'm coming back. All right. So that's the show for this morning. Wasn't the show I thought I was going to do. I got a whole laundry list of things I want to talk about. Like the fact that Nike Air Force One got a set of shoes out that was inspired by Howard University. Love Dookies. Got to talk about that. Rudy Giuliani trying not to pay the sisters the rest of the stuff he owed them. The judge is like, you about to go to jail. If it was me, I would have been under the jail by now. Got to talk about all that. I'll get to it. But right now, I'm just saying. We got to wake up, y'all. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Carvey, Debo, appreciate you, brothers. Peace.
Or say something real. Say something new. Baby, yeah. Said your words, girl. Something real. Yeah. We're like soldiers in a revolution. To our word, no solution. And then speaking words, something healing words, something feeling words, baby, yeah. Say what you want, girl. You know that I need you.